Link is woken up by an aggressive postman bird as he's late to meet Zelda. Unlike previous games, Zelda has a personality in this one. Although she's fallen into the cliche childhood friend / I wanna have a go on that later role. Zelda tells Link that she's part of the wing ceremony today, and she'd prefer if he was in it too. So spurred on by the power of blue balls, Link wins his place in the ceremony. Zelda gives him a blessing, an old tablecloth, a little bit of a tease, and then pushes him off a ledge. Apparently it's part of the ceremony, but in a place where everyone flies around on giant ducks, they probably already know how to land. It's okay though, Link likes it a bit rough. And the two of them go for a little fly to celebrate, until an evil plot twist knocks Zelda off her ostrich, and she falls beneath the clouds. Link is knocked unconscious by the same tornado, but his pelican takes him back to his bed like a drunk one-night stand. Link awakens that night after hearing a strange voice. A creepy floating spirit is waiting for him, looking like a cross between a bird and that posh sweet from that one Simpsons episode that always makes me hungry. Anyway, instead of hiding under his bed like a normal person, Link follows the creepy spirit all the way to the goddess Blade. Her name is Fi, or Fi, or Bum. I just call her annoying. She lives in the Blade and her job is to guide the goddess's chosen hero, whether he wants her to or not. She tells Link that Zelda is alive and he must save her. Zelda's dad arrives to confirm this, but also states that no one has ever been able to cross the cloud barrier before, even though Zelda did it earlier. Fi gives Link a tablet that gently penetrates the clouds and allows him to pass through, and after a quick outfit change, he heads off on his adventure. He arrives at the sacred ground, and despite the previously mentioned impenetrable cloud barrier covering the sky, it's a lovely sunny day. Close by is a temple with a wise looking old lady just sitting there trying to hypnotise herself. She says to look in the woods for Zelda, and this is where we find the first dungeon. At the end, a strange man awaits. Graham says it was his wind earlier and he was trying to capture Zelda, until someone jumped in and saved her. He's tracked her here and she's just in the next room. However, after Link kicks his ass, Zelda has vanished. Link has a look anyway, and Fi confirms Zelda was here, and she's probably going around having a wash in a couple of sacred ponds, like a baptism or a horse bath. Link gets another tablet, and another hole is made in the clouds for him to enter. This brings him to a volcano, and this time he actually finds Zelda, but a strange woman stops him from seeing her, and immediately tells him he's shit at his job. They both leave through a portal, and Link is left standing there looking like a kid who's just been told off for biting the other kids. Fi works out that they're heading for the desert, so Link follows after receiving the third cloud stretching tablet. After a very long shortcut, Link finds himself in the Temple of Time staring at Zelda. Graham arrives, he blocks Link with a barrier and goes straight for Zelda. The strange woman holds him off while Zelda gives Link the goddess's harp. The barrier then fades, allowing Link to jump into the fray just before Graham is about to win. Who's shit now? The stranger and Zelda escape through the Gate of Time and destroy it on their way through. Graham gives up and heads home, saying that he will kill Link later, like some sort of procrastinating serial killer. On the way back to see Grandma Hypno Hair, Link is pulled to the ground by his childhood bully, Groose. Groose has penis feelings for Zelda and is stalking Link to find her. Aww. Link fills him in on her whereabouts, and the old lady quickly puts him in his place when he tries to take over the adventure. She teaches Link a song and how to play the harp, which is as enjoyable as an ice-flavoured lollipop compared to the Ocarina and the Wind Waker, I guess. Another time gate pops up behind him, and the ground starts to shake. Turns out the spike outside is holding back a monster called the Imprisoned, awakened and enraged by the crappy harp music. Link reseals it by jamming the ceiling spike straight back into his head. To use the time gate, Link needs to level his sword up, so he seeks out the sacred flames. Back home, he finds a way to pop the cherry of a nearby Thunderdome, allowing Link to enter on his flamingo. There he learns another song that will help him find the first flame. Back to the woods, and Link has to prove himself by collecting tears and dodging creepy guardians in a spirit world. Standard stuff, really. After that, there's another dungeon and a boss, of course. Repeat 3 times, and the last flame transforms the goddess sword into the master sword. Hey, that's the sword from the other games. A quick second resealing of that jumbo purse monster, and Link activates the Gate of Time with his new toy. Zelda is waiting there for him with the usual exposition dump. So, Zelda is the goddess Hylia reincarnated. She sealed away the Demon King Demise after he tried to steal the Triforce. His weakened form is the thing Link keeps cramming back into the ground. Hylia knew he would escape someday, so she came up with 2 plans. 1, to create Fi to help the chosen hero and annoy the hell out of him, and use the Triforce to destroy Demise, and 2, reincarnate herself as a mortal so she could use it if the hero cocked up. She got her memories back after washing her pits in the ponds, and is intentionally keeping Link in the dark because he's a mug and would do anything to save her. She blesses his sword, tells him where to find the Triforce, and has a little sleep to keep the seal working, saying that she'll reawaken in the present after Demise has been killed. She's really got Link wrapped round her finger, isn't she?
Crazy whipped person!
Link heads back home to Skyloft, where the Triforce is hidden, to search for clues. He ends up rescuing a giant whale from a tapeworm, and discovers he needs to learn yet another song, but it's been split into 4 pieces. So, another horn bashing for Percy, and back through all the areas once again to locate the 3 dragons to learn their piece of the song. Although the forest level is now the water level, because why not? The flying whale gives Link the 4th piece, and Link learns the song of the hero, which leads to another tear collecting pain in the arse level. Yay. The dungeon is revealed and those rocks probably didn't kill anyone on the way down. Through the stupid slide puzzle of a dungeon, Link finds the Triforce and makes his wish to ram this dungeon straight down the imprisoned's throat. The world is saved, Link heads back to see Zelda, everyone's happy, but Graham shows up and easily kidnaps Zelda. Right in front of Link, who suddenly has the balance of an alcoholic coconut. He takes her through the time gate, to when his master was not squished like a piece of gum on the shoe of the beast truck driver. Link follows and makes his way through an army to stop the ritual that will revive Demise using Zelda's soul. Unfortunately, while Link and Graham are having a dick measuring contest with their swords, the ritual is completed and Demise returns to his original Street Fighter 4. He turns Graham into a sword, I'm guessing he's the evil but just as annoying version of Fi, and challenges Link to a fight. Obviously Link follows, and after another dick measuring contest and a lovely flourish at the end, Demise is defeated and vacuumed into the Master Sword. Although he says his hatred will be reborn along with him and Zelda, and the three of them will be trapped in an endless cycle. Guess that makes him Ganon's father, Daddy Dorf. Link plunges his Master Sword into the pedestal in the Temple of Hylia. He and Fi have a heartfelt goodbye, even though they had no chemistry together at all because he's a silent protagonist and she's a robot gummy bear. And then I guess she dies in the sword. Impa stays behind to protect the sleeping Zelda and has a sad goodbye with the non-sleeping Zelda. When they return to the present, they realise the pensioner who's been helping them all this time is an older version of Impa, and everyone is happy again. But then she dissolves and dies, so mixed feelings there. Zelda and Link decide to live on the surface happily ever after, probably, until there's a direct sequel. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Did you like this video? Let me know in the comments, and I may do more of these. Take it easy.